Have you ever had a moment where you second guess a decision that you've made? And that decision is already in motion and it's so far along that you couldn't pull back the reins on that decision, even if you wanted to? You know, I've always wondered whether or not if in Genesis chapter 7, Noah has one of those moments. Now, you've probably heard the story of Noah in the ark before. God comes to Noah in Genesis 6 and 7, and he says, Noah, I'm going to send a massive storm on the earth. It's going to be so big that it will flood the entire earth, but don't fear, Noah, don't worry. I'm going to have you build a massive boat that is big enough for you, your family, and two of every kind of living creature on the planet, and we're going to recreate the world. And so Noah starts to work on this boat that God tells him to build. Now, I got to imagine somewhere along the way in building this big boat, he wonders to himself, like, is this really going to happen? Am I really doing what God is calling me to? But nevertheless, he continues to build. And once the boat is finished, sure enough, God sends two of every kind of living creature all across the land to Noah to get on this boat. And then once they're all on, Noah and his family also board the boat. And then we're told in verse 16 of chapter 7 that this door is so big, the door of this boat is so huge that God has to close the door of the boat, kind of insinuating Noah is stuck inside. Now here's where there's this really interesting note on what's happening in this story. Noah boards the boat with all of these animals and his family, and then he has to wait 7 days before the rain begins. Noah waits 7 days in this boat with all of these animals waiting for the rain to start. 7 days of tending to these animals and 7 days of cleaning up after these animals. And I've got to believe somewhere along the way, in those 7 days, he starts to second guess his decision. Like, did I really hear from God? Is this really what I was supposed to do? Now, we're actually told that God communicates to Noah before he gets on the boat that he is going to have to wait 7 days before the rain comes. But if you're just waiting around for 7 days, it's really easy to wonder, well, did I hear God correctly? Is this really what I'm supposed to do? Am I really following in the right direction? And I wonder if you've ever been in that spot where you believe that God has prompted you to do something, you think God is leading you somewhere, and you start to go in that direction, and then somewhere along the way you're like, wait a minute, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? But here's another great feature of this story. Repeatedly we're told that Noah obeyed the Lord. Now, even though God tells Noah that he's going to send this massive storm and it's going to flood the earth, I'm not so sure Noah really has an idea of what he's in store for, but he continues to follow and he continues to obey. You know, I have a friend that says misguided obedience is better than no obedience, meaning that it's better to follow what you think God is doing in your life. It's better to follow where you think God is leading you than just to simply stay put and stay still, because it's in that motion that God continues to guide and direct and correct your life to the point where you do go in the direction he's hoping. And so if you ever find yourself in one of those places where you're like, did I hear this right? Is this where I'm supposed to be going? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? My encouragement to you would be continue on, persevere, continue to find yourself leaning into the Lord, exercising the muscle of listening to the Lord, trusting that he will continue to guide and direct your steps. Because in the same way that Noah was obedient, maybe not fully understanding all of what was going to happen, he continued to trust, he continued to follow, and in the end, he was called a man who is faithful and righteous. And so even if you find yourself second guessing, trust that God is with you, he's leading you, and he's guiding you moment by moment, step by step.